So today we have Yida Gao and Silvio Micali. Yida will be moderating. Yida is a lecturer at MIT Sloan, where he teaches the crypto finance course. Yida is also a general partner at Shima Capital, where he focuses on early stage investing. Silvio Micali has been on the faculty at MIT in the computer science department since 1983. In 2017, Silvio founded a fully decentralized, secure, and scalable blockchain, which provides a common platform for building products and services for a borderless economy. At Algorand, Silvio oversees all research, including theory, security, and crypto finance. Silvio is the recipient of the Turing Award, the Gödel Prize, the RSA Prize. He is a member of the National Science Academy, the National Academy of Engineering, the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and Academia de l'Essai. Thank you. You got mics. Great.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for coming and attending this fireside chat. So it's good to be back at MIT.
Likewise.
I remember coming to this room for Tom Layton from Akamai's class 6042, Mathematics of Computer Science, my freshman year, I believe. So it's good to be here. Definitely more awake than I was back then for that. So Silvio, first question I have for you is, when did you first discover Bitcoin, and what did you think about it when you first hear about the technology?
Oh, wow. So first of all, I discovered Bitcoin very late. Why? Because I'm a kind of an obsessed about one thing for a few years. When I change things, obsess about that too, and move on. So I was otherwise obsessed. So but finally, when I woke up after the transition of these few years, I asked one of my students, I said, what is this Bitcoin? And so they gave me a private lecture, and I said, wow, what a beautiful idea, but what inelegant solution. So somehow I immediately loved the plan, I really loved the philosophy, but somehow the technology I felt could be better. In some sense, there is a great alignment in philosophy between Bitcoiners and Algorand, but the technology, in my opinion, I wanted to be different. So criticizing is always easy, right? So doing things is a bit different. So I say, okay, if I don't like it, what do I do? So I locked myself in a room, and 3 months later, I came up with a design that is now the backbone of Algorand. And
what year was that?
That was 2017. 2017, yeah.
Very cool. So bringing me to the next question, which is, please describe for the audience here what Algorand is. How is it different than BTC and some of the other layer ones, and how did you come up with the underlying ideas?
Okay, so all blockchains are equal in keeping the chain secure so that you cannot alter the content of the blocks or the order of the blocks. Everybody uses the same technology there. 50 years old, prehistoric cryptographic technology, the hash function, right? And what the difference is that who has the damn right to choose the next block or transaction and append it to the chain? It almost seems a political problem, right? So that is what the tech does. And so proof of work doesn't say, you know what, it shouldn't be me, it shouldn't be you. We'll have a contest. The first one who solves a very complex cryptographic riddle has the right to append the block to the chain. So the expectation was, sometimes I will win, sometimes you'll win, we'll pass it around, it's going to be distributed. Turns around that became an arm race. So everybody wants to solve a riddle to have the power of appending the block. So you need a few supercomputers to even have a chance. You need many, many more few supercomputers to have a chance to append the block. So it became very expensive, and when things become expensive, guess what? Become centralized. Fewer and fewer people can absorb it. So that was not decentralized at the end. Proof of stake is a variety of solutions. The most popular is delegated proof of stake. What does this mean? Simple. We choose those 10 people. Don't they look honest? Sure they do. And let's hope they remain honest for the foreseeable future. Let's give them the power to choose the block on behalf of all of us. Is this decentralized? Hell no, right? That's it. So the idea in Algorand is that we want it to be scalable and we want to be decentralized. So we have, think of it a cryptographic lottery that takes microseconds to execute and picks up who has any algo, which is our native currency. So if you have one algo, you have a chance to be selected, and everybody is selected eventually, and that's the way we work. So we scale because the process, there is no complicated riddles, is you run your own cryptographic lottery. Think about lowering the slot machine, but you can lower it only once, and either you win or you don't win, but if you win, you get a winning ticket, and you show it is my time to act and to vote the block up or down, and you propagate your winning ticket and your vote virally. This scales because it takes 1 microsecond of computation. Even I can afford the electricity of 1 second of computation, or even an hour, but a microsecond is very, very cheap. So it scales because of that, because everybody can afford it. We lower the amount. There is no sacred tokens which is more valuable than somebody else. Nobody is more valuable than something. If you want to participate to our consensus, not only you are allowed, but you can technologically, with your laptop, participate. That's very important to us. We are really scalable and decentralized. By the way, why we are secure, because if I were somehow a very bad guy and I am at the snap of a finger, I can corrupt anybody I want on planet Earth, whom I want to corrupt? Who is going to win this lottery? The problem is, I don't know who is going to win this lottery. And once I know, because they come up with the winning ticket and the opinion about the block, I can corrupt them right away. But it's too late. Whatever I had to say, they already said, it's virally propagating over a network. And so, damn, I cannot corrupt beforehand, and it's useless to corrupt afterwards. That's why it's secure, right? So we want to have a truly decentralized system, scalable, because many, many of us want to transact, and they should be able to transact. And we want to really be a very democratic system where the participation bar is very, very low.
Yeah, and as one of the earliest validators for Algorand, I'm very impressed because not only are you guys super decentralized, but haven't dropped many blocks in since 2017 or 18.
I must say that we all should be proud of whatever we are doing. We are very proud to have produced 20 million blocks and change every 4.4 seconds without interruption. So no downtime. And I believe that is important because, in my opinion, blockchain is not only about speculation. Because if a speculative blockchain, if it's down for a couple of hours every month, I'll speculate tomorrow, right? But if you use the blockchain for some important financial or healthcare services or whatever you want to do, if the blockchain is down and you cannot transact, that's not good, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's very impressive relative to other protocols out there. So let's talk about privacy for a little bit. So Algorand is very focused on having transparency for its developers, its communities, its users, and has a big focus on transparency. In today's world, as the asset class gets bigger and there's more people trying to hack the general space, and people are talking more and more about privacy and privacy-focused applications, how does Algorand think about privacy in their eyes?
So in terms of hacking, that privacy is different, right? So I don't believe, by being truly decentralized, there is not 1 point of attack, there is not 10 point of attack, there is not 100 point of attack, there is not 1,000 point of attack, etc., etc. Hacking is very hard. Privacy, however, people value privacy, and they should have it too. We made a strategic decision. By the way, I've been a cryptographer for 40 years, okay? So we participated here at MIT to forge the tools of public key cryptography as we know it, but we felt that it would be too much confusion with the regulators and things to say, first of all, there is already a big revolution to have things decentralized. Now you want to see if nobody can see what's going on is a little bit too much. So I felt that we wanted to say a message that the blockchain is really here for doing social change, And we do that first. We show how decentralized we are. We are a transactional platform, and we'll add the privacy later, so everybody begins a bit more comfortable rather than having everything at once and possibly generate a lot of undue hostility for a lack of knowledge. I think you have to do gradually, but we are going to have privacy on the Algorand blockchain, and if I may say, we're going to be pretty good privacy on the Algorand blockchain. So far, we have the pseudo-privacy, that, not knowing who is behind the one key, and that is good enough in most applications. But if you want to do rigorous privacy, zero knowledge proofs and things like this, it takes it to another level. This is going to be next.
Next, can you give the audience some timelines here, or of some alpha on how you guys are thinking about?
So yeah,
that?
First of all, believe it or not, we have a great, our technology plan. Let me tell you one thing that is about Algorand. Something we got it right from the beginning. And so it is our DNA that we want to have our chain to be upgradable by consensus, consensually improvement. Because I do not know anything that is fixed in life and remains living for very long or relevant for very long. So anytime that there is a better technology, we have to absorb. Next is going to be, we have a great performance, but we think we need even greater performance, so we are going to have a 10x improvement by Q3. We are going to have some decentralized token bridges, that is next. And why decentralized token bridges? Remember, it's possible to be good at many things, but to be great at all things, that's a totally different story. And so there is no reason for which we should not be great at something and somebody else will be great at something else. So I believe it is natural that in the blockchain space, there is going to be not one winner takes it all, but there is going to set the world perhaps doesn't need 6,000 blockchains, okay? But 12, 24. So the is very nice that everybody does better something than anybody else. And so therefore, you want to bring your asset to another chain when it's going to be serviced better than in your chain, and then bring it back after it's been serviced. But the chain is decentralized. The other chain, hopefully for you, is decentralized too, but the bridges right now are centralized. So there are some one trustee, three trustee, hold up, prop up this shaky thing, which you send your asset over, and you don't know if the bridge is going to be standing up when you want it back. So what is going to be next for us is to have really a decentralized bridge. Who holds the bridge? Blockchain A and blockchain B. You trust blockchain A because your asset is there right now. You trust blockchain B because you want to bring your asset there. You don't need to trust anybody else, thank you very much. Because all these, 5 people, if 3 of which are honest, the bridge will continue to exist, blah, 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 blah. In reality, a blockchain that works is going to secure trillions of dollars in value. And these people here say, I make you whole if you really have a problem. Make you whole, where is the $1 trillion that you set aside? They post a very small amount of money, so we really believe that it's not even the idea to go after the assets, which is going to be minuscule relative to the value of the chain anyway. And what do? You sue them? Is in a smart contract in which chain? Everything makes no sense. Decentralized bridges is what allow us to interoperate properly, as we should be in a multiple ecosystem.
Yeah, from an investor's perspective, the whole concept of bridging is very, very hot today, yes. Right? You have layer 0, XLR, you have wormhole, a lot of large, from an investor's perspective, large investors are kind of putting a stake and picking their horse. So it's good to know that Algorand is focused on cross-chain bridges as well. And what's very interesting, because we're at the Bitcoin Expo, what you said about upgradability of a layer 1 protocol makes a lot of sense. Although people who are kind of Bitcoin maxis or folks who are Bitcoin core devs, you'll know if you talk to them, they're thinking about ways how do we ossify Bitcoin even more and think about ways to not kind of accept changes. It's just a different type of mentality where Bitcoin is probably going to have many fewer changes than Algorand and other protocols. So,
yeah. So it's a different philosophy, it is right. And so we all have experience, the changing of the post in the middle of a game, and nobody likes that, okay? So the last thing you want to say, you come in because there is one philosophy and things change completely on the other side. But while, however, if you have something that 80% of the people have to agree to make a change, is this so dangerous? And by the way, if we can give you a decentralized bridge to say, before this change happens, which I disagree, okay, then you can ship your assets somewhere else. I think we must have the ability to guide ourselves. Look, you have improved in your life how many times? I hope I've done the same. So life is about continual adaptation to changing circumstances. And if we are not capable of doing this or not willing to do this, the dinosaurs didn't want or could not adapt fast enough. So I think we should preserve this ability, but with decentralized bridge and setting the threshold of consensus, in our case is 80%, before we do an upgrade, I think it is a good thing. You don't want to be set a course with an ocean liner, storm, no storm, iceberg, no iceberg, and say, well, now I set a course, I should keep it no matter what. It doesn't strike me to be such an alluring possibility.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about another category, which is DeFi and democratizing finance for everyone around the world. What does that mean to the Algorand Foundation, and how do you think about DeFi in the grand scheme of things?
I think DeFi is really a great opportunity for humanity, done right? And we want to do done right, and it has to be really decentralized, and it has to be very little cost. Because otherwise, if there are DeFi tools which are expensive, we are back that nobody can really transact, and there is no democratization of the economy, which is one of the main goals of Algorand. So there is now various platforms, AlgoFi, Fox Finance, there are remittances, Opulos, that is a way to make a liquid assets for artists. There are marketplaces for artists. So we really need to know all this decentralization is great. There are various projects also that I believe that they need liquidity and of various sort. Let me, two projects I'm particularly fond of. They actually come to us from the way of Argentina. One is Agrotoken, that is a way to essentially represent as a token grains. Think about it, you have a ton of wheat, and you geolocate it, you record the temperature, the graded humidity and things, and now you have a token. That is immediate liquidity for the farmers, which, by the way, their liquidity depends on wholesalers that they say, I'll buy everything you have at this price, which is not the price you want. So to be able to do this, immediately and giving, that is very important. Another project, which is a TravelX, and believe it or not, is a great project because there is one financial instrument that does not have a secondary market. And what it is? Travel tickets. Congratulations, you bought a travel ticket. You cannot pay? Too bad for you. I'll see you later. Bye. Thank you for your money. So that is not the way the world should work, right? And so to enable to resell it, knowing on the blockchain that actually you are really the owner, the ticket really exists. It's not a piece of paper with some kind of a stamp, right? I think all these things are really pointing in the direction that you have to be the owner of your own information and your own data, and by the way, and also your financial instruments. And tickets is one particular one of them. And so somehow we live in a world in which we are sucked off of our own data, now belongs to me. Really? I don't think so. Yeah. I think it's about we take this business plan and turn it on their heads, and we want to be at the helm of our own data information and finance.
So talking about some more real-world applications and partnerships, Algorand is the official partner of FIFA, which it's pretty impressive, having partnered with a governing body that has a sport that has 4 billion followers or more. What does that mean to Algorand and that partnership for bringing decentralization to the world?
I'll tell you, I was when FIFA approached us, because these guys have scales, okay? So we have 5 billion plants. That is more than you take the 2 most popular religions combined, and even more. And they really want to bring the sports, bring us together very often in ways that other things, and music and art, really good. And they really want the people to transact. And so they needed a blockchain that at scale, and they really had a blockchain that really believed in democratization and access. And so you don't want to somehow the fans to be users, you want to be members of a community. And to be members of a community, you need smart protocol that allows you to interact, right? So you can imagine what things you could do if you want to bring together a community. Says, I'm making it up, okay? But they say, assume you want to buy a ticket, and if you really want to make popular, the cost of a ticket is X. But if 5 people, 1 per continent, buy the tickets and sitting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, everybody pays half, okay, or something like this. It's already something that to say, okay, obliges you to say to whom he wants to team up with me to do this. You can generate a community, you can do all kinds of things. But it's very, very important that the cost is very low. Because unfortunately today, as you know, wealth is not very well spread. And so if you go 5 billion people, the income of 5 billion people, the average is going to be very low. So it's very, very important to offer these services and transactions at very low cost. So 1 transaction, like a payment, or is 1 fraction of 1 cent in Algorand. And that is, in my opinion, is about right. Because when you talk about 50 cents per transaction, it's very cavalier for us, which are privileged, to say, oh, 50 cents, who cares? Well, 50 cents is a lot of money if your salary is $50 a month, okay? So I wouldn't be, so a fraction of a cent is much better. And by the way, it's not only transaction like a unilateral transaction like payments, but a bilateral transaction that brings people together. So you and I, you can be in Thailand, I can be in Sicily, and we can exchange an asset for money, or an asset for another asset, right? Or an NFT for another NFT, we want to swap them. And so this happens also in 4.4 seconds in a secure way, because in Algorand, that is the same transaction. It's not an escrow, nothing of all this. It's a native transaction. And at the cost of 1 fraction of a cent, all these things are really make it possible, in my opinion, to serve such a large community.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a lot of kind of applications that are getting built on top of Algorand. When you think about, like, for the audience, right, there's developers out there, investors out there, and for the developers, I think blockchains are sometimes very difficult to develop on, depending on which layer 1 or layer 2 you're working with. Algorand has a steadfast focus on making development very, very user-friendly for software engineers and others, with your AVM, Algorand Virtual Machine, to other developer tools. And even in last year, you guys won the Devies Award for the most, for Algorand Developer Portal. So how do you think about, if you had to pitch all the students and devs out there, because that's kind of the crux of this, is you need to have applications getting built on top of Algorand. So, can you explain a little bit more about your focus on, making development as easy as possible?
Yes. So first of all, as you notice, there have been we've been awarded with so much easy to develop. We make sure to decouple somehow knowledge of the protocol from, so you want to focus on building your app without knowing much about how the protocol works. And I think we've done a very good job about that. And then also we created a bunch of native building blocks, native available in Algorand without coding anything. So things like this atomic swap, which I think is an important aspect, or issuing your own token, no better way, or even an issue of fungible or non-fungible. You say how many you want to tokenize an entire building. You decide, how many shares of a building you want to issue ever, how many shares you issue now, who is the issuer, who has the clawing back rights if necessary, freezing right and things. You push a button, 4.4 seconds. You don't write any line of software. So what is important is that at that point, what you want to do is that you can actually see 80% of whatever you want to do already pre-made. And when you want to do your application, you can write your code in Python, you can write it in Go, you can write it in Java, etc. And then Rust. And then when you want to do is then you compile it automatically into our spatial language. And by the way, it's important to keep the language and then to have these compilers. We didn't want to be compatible EVM, AVM. We are very proud to have our own brand because I believe that premature standardization ossifies the market before we really know what we need. And so it's a bit, right now things are improving. It's not that who wants to standardize things? People who want to preserve the status quo. I really think there is so much innovation going on that we should go and innovate as much as we can, and rather than making things sclerotic and unchangeable, and everybody has to be compatible with something which was, is not exactly perfect for us, right? So that has been our philosophy. That made I'm very glad that so many people in DeFi, in payments and remittances and things are using us because we made it easy. We really tried to make it easy for them.
Perfect. I think that was a perfect finish. I think I'm getting called for time now. So thank you, Silvio, for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Can you go here?